Tonight, breaking news, Jeffrey Epstein survivors in front of the cameras and what they're demanding. They want the Epstein files released, many talking for the first time, and what they describe, what they say happened to them. And their message tonight for President Trump, who at the White House today called this a hoax. And tonight, what many of the victims told our Lindsay Davis about the Department of Justice talking with Ghislaine Maxwell and then moving her from that federal prison to a more favorable facility. Also breaking tonight, there's been a deadly accident involving a streetcar, a popular tourist destination. At least 15 people dead tonight, many more injured. Witnesses say the streetcar appeared to be out of control. Tonight, the lightning strikes igniting fires in the U.S. Nearly 17,000 lightning strikes in just the past 24 hours. Flames threatening homes in the Hollywood Hills. An historic town burned to the ground not far from Yosemite. And in the east tonight, a large fire burning outside New York City. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast. Tonight, the move by Florida to eliminate all childhood vaccine mandates in that state. And this evening here, the medical experts who call the move frightening. The Matthew Perry case tonight, the suspect who authorities called the Ketamine Queen, pleading guilty now to selling Friends star Matthew Perry the drug that killed him, what she now faces. Overseas tonight, China's massive show of force. The parade of new weapons, including ballistic missiles potentially capable of reaching the U.S. China's President Xi, Russia's Vladimir Putin, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, all there. What President Trump is now saying about this tonight, and he acknowledged he did watch it, calling it, quote, impressive. Here in the U.S., the plane off the runway in Chicago. The case of the alleged serial killer outside New York City, there's been a major turn tonight, what prosecutors can now use. The Powerball jackpot now at $1.4 billion. Also, will Taylor Swift perform at the Super Bowl? What the NFL commissioner is saying about that tonight.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Wednesday night. We do begin tonight with the extraordinary scene playing out on Capitol Hill today. Survivors of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein standing before the Capitol, some coming before the cameras for the first time, demanding that Congress and the White House release the full Jeffrey Epstein files. The group of women sharing their stories, what they say they survived, saying there should be a vote, that Republicans and Democrats should have to vote whether to make these files public, saying, quote, the days of sweeping this under the rug are over. One by one, the women describing what they endured and urging that the names of the rich and powerful men linked to Epstein be revealed. And tonight, many of them sharing their outrage with our Lindsay Davis over the Department of Justice traveling to interview convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and then moving her a short time later to a low-security prison camp in Texas with more favorable conditions. At the White House today, President Trump calling the Epstein files a hoax. ABC's Jay O'Brien leading us off on Capitol Hill tonight.
I was only 14 years old when I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein.
Tonight, 10 women who say they were abused by sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Thank you.
Coming together for the first time with a public plea to Congress and President Trump. Release the FBI's Epstein files. This is not a hoax, they said. It's not politics. This is our lives.
I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth.
Epstein and his associates.
One after another.
I am here.
The women telling their stories.
I was only 14 years old.
Jenalisa Jones says Epstein assaulted her in his Palm Beach mansion when she was just 14 years old.
I remember crying the entire way home, thinking about how I couldn't ever tell anyone about what actually happened in that house. This guy was so rich and had so many pictures with so many famous people, and no one would have ever believed me if I told them.
President Trump, who was friends with Epstein for a decade in the 90s, once promised to release the Epstein files, but today called the issue a hoax.
This is a Democrat hoax that never ends.
On Capitol Hill, I brought the president's words to the women.
The president has said that this Epstein issue is a hoax, is the words that he used. Can we get your reactions to what you think when you hear him say that?
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
The women calling Trump's words devastating, like, quote, being gutted from the inside out.
We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it.
And there was something else. Sitting down with ABC's Lindsay Davis, the women saying they were appalled the number 2 official at the Department of Justice, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the president's former lawyer, traveled to speak with Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, currently serving 20 years in prison for child sex trafficking.
She was 100% involved. She was complicit. She was enabling. She was enmeshed with Jeffrey Epstein.
Lindsay asking about Maxwell's highly unusual transfer to a minimum security prison just days after her interview with the Deputy Attorney General.
What has been your response to the DOJ going and talking with her, to her being put into a minimum security camp, and even in talks about, potentially her being pardoned?
I think that perhaps Mr. Blanche was just ill-informed. It doesn't matter what Ghislaine Maxwell says. I really think there are not many people out there who are taking what Ghislaine Maxwell says seriously. But it's now the responsibility, once again, of Congress to put in the action so that we don't just hear from Ghislaine Maxwell.
Shanti Davis accuses Maxwell of grooming her to be raped by Epstein.
I have had quite a few nightmares, if I'm honest, since she's been transferred. I just feel like it's kind of a slow transition to her being released, her going from a prison to basically like a summer camp.
President Trump has not ruled out pardoning Maxwell.
By show of hands, is there anybody who would support Ghislaine Maxwell getting out of prison?
Only if I'm there when she gets out. And we can show up collectively.
But David, the politics up here not yet changing. House Speaker Mike Johnson continues to block any vote on a full release of the Epstein files. And while those women were up here on Capitol Hill telling their stories at the White House today, President Trump still calling the whole thing a hoax. David.
Jay O'Brien live at Capitol Hill tonight. Jay, thank you. Much more of Lindsay's interviews with survivors of Jeffrey Epstein tonight on ABC News Live Prime. The other breaking story, the horrific images coming in late today. There's been a deadly accident involving a streetcar, a popular tourist destination in Lisbon, Portugal. At least 15 people are dead tonight, many more injured. Witnesses say the streetcar appeared to be out of control. Here's our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell now.
Tonight, at least 15 people are dead, 18 more injured after an iconic cable streetcar derailed in Portugal. This was the scene just moments after the disaster in the capital Lisbon, at the height of the evening rush. This video posted on social media. Bystanders combing through the mangled wreckage, searching for survivors. The yellow and white Gloria funicular, one of Lisbon's landmarks, seen on its side, appearing to have slammed into a building on a steep hill. Witnesses say they heard a huge crash and all they could do was turn and run because another tram was coming downhill. First responders tending to victims at the scene, debris littering the ground. Tonight, no word on how many foreigners were on board. Authorities confirming a child is among the injured, calling it the worst accident in the city's recent history.
David, as authorities comb through the wreckage, officials say the preliminary investigation suggests the safety cable broke, causing the derailment. Tonight, Lisbon is a city in mourning. David?
Just terrifying images. Ian, thank you. Back here in the U.S. tonight, thousands of lightning strikes igniting fires, nearly 17,000 lightning strikes across California alone in just the past 24 hours. And in the east tonight, a large fire burning outside New York City. That large fire now burning in Passaic County, New Jersey. In California tonight, flames threatening homes in the Hollywood Hills. And an historic town burned to the ground not far from Yosemite. Lee Goldberg with the forecast, the conditions from the east to the west. And ABC's Trevor Ault in California for us.
Tonight, a gold rush era mining town up in flames as a massive lightning-fueled fire southeast of Sacramento rages out of control. The 6.5 fire breaking out Tuesday west of Yosemite near the town of Chinese Camp, spreading fast. Firefighters battling flames from the ground and the air.
Some of the structures in this town have been standing since Chinese immigrants settled here in the gold rush of the mid-1800s, and overnight these flames turned the neighborhood into ash and rubble.
The fire is one of at least 22 that broke out Tuesday amid thousands of lightning strikes. CAL FIRE calling the group of fires the TCU September Lightning Complex Fire. All told, it's burned more than 20 square miles, and the rest of the Golden State is a tinderbox too. Overnight in Los Angeles, a car fire quickly spreading to brush in the heart of the Hollywood Hills, threatening homes, families sheltering in place. Fire choppers soon overhead, thankfully knocking it down within an hour. And prolonged dry conditions in the east are fueling fires there. Outside New York City, the Buck-a-Bear fire in Passaic County, New Jersey, burning more than 100 acres. And the cause now under investigation.
David, hundreds of firefighters are working to contain the flames that are still burning in this area, and they're going to have their hands full through Thursday at least, with dry conditions and temperatures once again expected in the 90s. David?
Trevor Roll, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our New York station, WABC. Lee?
David, a summer going strong in the Pacific Northwest, just too strong. Another day of extreme heat before some moderation over the weekend. Record highs, high fire danger. We have the dry, gusty winds and the lightning as well. To the tropics, that wave over the eastern Atlantic, likely to become a tropical depression by the weekend, could be tracking toward the Caribbean next week. The next named storm would be Gabrielle. In the Pacific, it's Lorena, and it's headed toward Mexico with a lot of rainfall and some flooding. And then Kiko is a Category 4 hurricane with 130-mile-per-hour winds. It heads in the general direction of Hawaii, but does weaken upon approach early next week. We'll track it all. David?
Powerful reminder, we're still in this. Lee, thank you. Tonight, the new move by Florida to eliminate all childhood vaccine mandates in that state. Florida's Surgeon General tonight calling vaccine requirements immoral. Medical experts calling the move frightening and saying Florida is just the start, arguing this kind of move will put other children at school at risk. Here's ABC's Victor Oquendo from Florida.
With the CDC in turmoil over RFK Jr.'s changes to vaccine policy, today Florida announced plans to become the first state to scrap the vaccine mandates for school children, ending guidelines health officials have relied on for decades to curb the spread of infectious disease.
Who am I as a government, or anyone else, or who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body?
Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo has long come under fire from leading health organizations for spreading misinformation about vaccines. Today, he called the vaccine mandates immoral.
Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery.
Tonight, health experts are worried.
This is a very bad sign for public health in general. In Florida, we can expect outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases.
And Dr. Richard Besser, former acting director of the CDC and former ABC chief medical correspondent, saying as a pediatrician and as a parent, it's absolutely frightening, the idea that children could go to school and be unvaccinated. That puts them at risk and others around them who may have underlying medical conditions. And Dr. Besser warned, Florida is just the first. We're going to see this in a lot of states with anti-vaccine fervor. All eyes will now be on Florida after what the nation saw play out in Texas, a deadly measles outbreak fueled by low vaccination rates in kids. Here in Florida, not everyone agrees.
It should be the parents' choice whether they're vaccinated.
But Shantae Roberson just got her son Ace vaccinated today, and she's concerned.
We have to make decisions that affect the greater good. So I would be concerned with other children who aren't vaccinated and maybe possibly making my child sick.
David, officials in Florida say these changes will take time, but tonight the American Medical Association saying the ending of vaccine mandates would undermine decades of public health progress. David?
Victor Oquendo in Florida for us. Thanks, Victor. Overseas tonight into China's massive show of force today, the parade of new weapons. China's President Xi, Russia's Vladimir Putin, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, all there together. And tonight what President Trump is now saying about this, acknowledging today he did watch it. And the rare hot mic moment between President Xi and Vladimir Putin. Our Britt Clennett is in Beijing.
Tonight, a defiant show of force. China flexing its military might with its largest ever parade, sending a clear warning to the US it will not be bullied. For the first time, President Xi Jinping standing shoulder to shoulder with Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. China showcasing new weapons, including nuclear missiles experts say could be capable of striking the continental US. Powerful attack drones, including large torpedo-like underwater drones and lasers China calls the most powerful in the world. and four-legged robot wolves designed to locate mines and hunt down soldiers. All while thousands of troops paraded in perfect unison.
It's quite extraordinary to be this close to marching soldiers right here in Tiananmen Square in the heart of the Chinese capital.
President Trump tonight acknowledging he did watch.
I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching.
In an earlier post on social media, the president accused Xi, Putin and Kim of conspiring against the US. Putin saying the suggestion shows Trump's sense of humor and claimed none of the leaders at the parade said anything negative about the president. And tonight, that rare hot mic moment right before the parade, Putin and Xi caught in a candid conversation. Putin overheard talking about multiple organ transplants as a way to achieve immortality. Xi responding, say some predict that in this century humans may live up to 150 years old. Putin has been leading Russia for 25 years, Xi leading China for almost 13. And both leaders heard talking about immortality as they tried to send a message to the US and the world.
And David, one more thing we took note of here in Beijing, Kim Jong-un bringing his daughter Kim Ju-ae on this rare trip outside of North Korea, fueling speculation she could next be in line to lead North Korea. David?
Britt Clennett, who witnessed it all today for us. Britt, thanks. Back here in the U.S., a major victory for Harvard tonight in its showdown with the Trump administration. A federal judge in Boston reversing a government freeze on more than $2 billion in research funding. The judge ruling the administration used allegations of anti-Semitism as a, quote, smokescreen to illegally pull funds from the school. The administration is expected to appeal. When we come back tonight, there's been a major turn in the case of the alleged serial killer right outside New York City. Also, the plane off the runway in Chicago, what we've learned. And tonight, the question, will Taylor Swift perform at the Super Bowl? What the NFL commissioner is saying about this tonight. Tonight, the FAA is investigating a small plane off the runway at Chicago's executive airport. The plane from Baltimore then crashing through a fence. The pilot reporting a mechanical issue. 2 people on board were not hurt. To the case of the alleged serial killer outside New York City, the judge in the case now allowing key DNA evidence to be presented at trial. Prosecutors say the evidence links 6 of the 7 victims to suspect Rex Heuermann. When we come back tonight, there is news involving actor Matthew Perry, a guilty plea tonight, and will Taylor Swift perform at the Super Bowl? To the index tonight in the death of Matthew Perry, the suspect called the Ketamine Queen, pleading guilty to 5 criminal charges, including providing the drug that ultimately led to Perry's death. Jasveen Sangha faces up to 65 years in prison. Tonight, speculation mounting over whether Taylor Swift will perform at the Super Bowl. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell saying maybe when asked about it, referring questions to Jay-Z, the show's producer. Stay tuned. The massive Powerball jackpot, no winners, so tonight's drawing now worth $1.4 billion. Good luck. When we come back tonight, the bride in New York City and the moment, the firefighters who brought her to the wedding and why they did it.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Vyvgart Hytrulo, now approved as a pre-filled syringe.
Finally tonight here, the bride who lost her father on 9/11 and the firefighters determined to make sure she felt he was there on her wedding day. Tonight, it was the powerful moment right before the wedding, now touching hearts across this country. Kristen Marino and her father, Kenneth, a New York City firefighter with Hell's Kitchen Rescue Company 1 for more than a decade. She lost her father on 9/11. She was just 3 years old. He was last seen near the 70th floor of the North Tower. More than 2 decades later, Kristen choosing to get married right here in New York City to be closer to her dad. And when it was time for the ceremony to start, waiting for her outside her hotel, Hell's Kitchen Rescue Company 1, showing up for the daughter of their fallen brother. Engines ready to escort the bride to her wedding. Kristen emotional, writing it felt like a symbol of her dad, walking her down the aisle. Her mother, Katrina, and brother Tyler were right there too, wiping away tears. And right here tonight,
Hi, David.
Kristen and her husband Noah sending us a message tonight from their honeymoon about the moment they tell us they keep revisiting.
Right when I saw them and they were all just looking up at me smiling, I just lost it completely, and I can just see my dad there standing as well. Like, I know he was represented through them, and it was such an honor to be able to shake their hand. They just showed up for me, but most importantly, they showed up for my dad.
Tonight, they are grateful for those firefighters, grateful they brought her father to the wedding.
I'm just so blown away by all the love and support that everyone has shared, and just to see people still coming and supporting us and the families of 9/11 means the world to us.
But we wish you, Kristen and Noah, the best, and your dad would be proud. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.